Have a point of personal privilege before I start my questioning. I want you to know that Senator Johnson and I were accused of spreading Russian disinformation for 2.5 years, and everybody now knows that we were not spreading Russian disinformation on an investigation that we were doing. Dr. Pielke, you were fired from your position at 538. WikiLeaks later revealed an explicit campaign against you. The editor of Think Progress, a website that's part of the lobbying arm of a far left-wing Center for American Progress, wrote the following in an email to billionaire dark money Democrat donor Tom Steyer. Quote, I think it's fair to say that without Climate Progress, the environmental arm of Think Progress, Pielke would still be writing on climate change for 538. Why do you believe you were fired from 538 and smeared in the media?
Yeah, thank you. I had written a piece. I was hired by Nate Silver to write for 538, and since climate change was so contested, I said, well, if you let me write some about sports, I'll also write about climate change. My first piece was to summarize an IPCC report. In 2012, the IPCC released a report, a special report on extreme events. And it was straight up IPCC consensus science that I wrote about. What I said in that piece was that disaster costs are increasing, but they're increasing because we have more stuff, more property, more buildings in harm's way. That's what the IPCC concluded. There was an organized campaign released years later, and you never know where you'll find yourself. I was in the WikiLeaks. And it was organized by Center for American Progress along with a climate scientist named Michael Mann. And they were very explicit why they wanted me to be removed. My message, even though it was on consensus science, was not politically comfortable or acceptable. So it was a very clear reason why I was attacked. My only regret is that the editors at 538 didn't stand firm and say we're going to support strong science.
Mr. Walter, witnesses called to testify before this committee this year by the majority work for organizations that have received dark money from Arabella Advisors. The president of the Niskanen Center even admitted on the record to receiving funding from anonymous donors in the past, but in 10 climate hearings, Democrats have never asked a single one of their witnesses about their receipts of dark money, let alone attempted to impugn the integrity or accuse them of conspiracy. Why do you think that is, and how does Arabella Advisors influence Democratic legislators, and why is the Democratic dark money conveniently ignored by the left?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I can't explain exactly why your colleagues aren't willing to look at the dark money ties of their own witnesses, because, of course, they're very extensive, and influencewatch.org, our website, would provide lots of information on that. Arabella is a stunningly powerful. It affects the executive branch, it affects regulations, it affects legislation, with, as I said, billions of dollars a year, some of it from foreign donors. Now, one of my favorite examples of this would be that almost the entire Biden regulatory agenda has been shaped by an especially dark bit of Arabella called Governing for Impact. Interestingly, that has ties to a witness that appeared at the last hearing where I had the honor of testifying to Chairman Whitehouse.
Are any Democratic witnesses on this panel linked to the web of liberal dark money donations?
Yes, just today you have a witness, for instance, who spent years at the group called Crew, which is tied to the dark money of Empire of David Brock and other dark money. You have a witness who's connected to a nonprofit that receives money from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, which is one of the donors tied up in the Arabella network.
Dr. Orzesky, the environmental law firm Scher Edling receives funding by way of the Resource Legal Fund and the Arabella Advisors New Venture Fund from foreign and domestic elites to promote progressive climate policies. Democratic dark money giant George Soros and Leonardo DiCaprio are among their donors. Are you currently or have you ever been retained by the environmental law firm Scher Edling?
Opportunity to talk about the case that I consulted on, San Mateo versus Chevron, where the people of San Mateo County have sued for redress because of the damages that that county and the state of California is experiencing from sea level rise caused by climate change caused by their product, oil and gas.
My time's up. Thank you.
Senator Stabenow.